Hi, welcome to the Yarn and Yarns YouTube channel. My name's Angela. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Rainbow Ange, and you can also find an Instagram account and a Facebook page for my business. We are a bricks and mortar yarn shop called Yarn and Yarns, the same as the channel, and we're based in South Wales in the UK, just outside of Cardiff. Thank you so much for joining me today here on the channel. If you've not been by before, you'll find me chatting about my adventures in knitting and crochet, sometimes spinning and sewing, and also some chatter about being a yarn shop owner. How are you all? I just want to say a continued welcome to new subscribers. We've had a few more new people sign up this week, so that's really nice. We are slowly and steadily growing, still a very small channel, but I really do appreciate anyone who comes by and spends a little bit of time listening to me waffle on about my projects and about what's going on in the shop. So this week I have usual format, so some finished objects, some works in progress. It should be, in theory, a fairly quick video. I have been working on just one or two projects. I've been trying to really concentrate on making a dent in a few things and just getting things done. On the whole, my projects this week are knitting. I have been working on a little bit of crochet, but it's nothing super exciting and I don't have it with me, but I've been crocheting some granny squares along with some of the ladies who come to the groups in our shop. We're supporting quite a fun charity, so if I remember I shall record a little bit of a crochet segment from the shop later on in the week. But for now it's all about the knitting, I'm afraid. So sorry to all of you crocheters out there. Hang on, hopefully there will be some crochet coming up later. So first of all, I will start with finished objects. In theory, I have five finished objects. In practice, I only have one here to show you. So I'll quickly talk about the ones that I don't have with me. I did finish my Esme shawl, which I chatted about on the last episode, knit from West Yorkshire Spinners Wensleydale yarn, the Wensleydale Gems, and I was knitting it in grey and purple. The grey colour was Moonstone and the purple colour was called Amethyst. That has gone off to its new home. I'm going to pop in a picture of the finished object right about here. So yeah, I really enjoy knitting those. That one did seem to hang around on the needles a little bit longer than the others, but I think it's just because I've been generally busy working on a few different things. The next three finished objects of mine are actually hats. The last time the Rowan rep visited the shop, she very kindly left me several balls of yarn to knit up into samples. She left me one ball of big wool, so there's a little booklet with 4 patterns for big wool, and there's a hat pattern in that leaflet called Clo, C-L-O, and it takes one ball of big wool, so I was left with the ball, so I thought I'd knit up the Clo hat, which I did. I was hoping to bring that home to show you, but somehow today I have lost it. I was wearing it earlier today for a bit of funny shenanigans on Instagram in the Yarn and Yarn stories, and I've put it down somewhere and I don't know what I've done with it. So it's either in the shop or someone's picked it up and walked off with it. I'm sure it will turn up. So yeah, I don't have that to show you. But I've got a couple of pictures, so I shall stick those in shortly. But while I was knitting up that sample, one of my lovely friends came into the shop and was chatting to me and asked if I would actually make a couple of hats for her. She's a pretty good knitter herself, but she doesn't like working with chunky yarns. She has a few issues with her hands, so she finds holding the thicker needles a little bit more difficult, and this particular hat's knit I think on 10mm. So yeah, I said I would happily knit up a couple of hats for her. The original sample that I knit had a big squishy pom-pom on the top, but she wanted them for a couple of gents in her life, so she asked me just to knit them up. It's just a really basic sort of ribbed hat, so she asked me if I'd knit up a couple and leave off the pom-pom, and they literally take like 2 hours to knit, so yeah, I was very happy to do that for her. I gave her one back before I took a photograph, but I did photograph the other, so hopefully here there will be a little insert of the hat that I made as a sample for the shop with the big squishy pom-pom, and also one other hat without the pom-pom on. Those 3 hats make for nice quick projects, and it's quite nice to think that you know, I made 3 hats, finished off a shawl, and also the upcoming pair of socks in a week. I'm feeling very productive. Although it's kind of a bit of a cheat because those hats really are so quick. Okay, so enough of me talking about stuff that I don't have to show you. I will now talk to you about the project that I do have here. I have finished a pair of socks. I think I just about started these last week. Yeah, I think I had. And they're another project for a customer who I often knit socks for. So here they are. These were worked in lovely yarn from a local indie dyer, Miranda May, by Miranda May is her label. And this is the Spring Awakening colour. And here they are finished. They don't really fit on my sock blockers properly because these are quite a large size. So I cast on for 72 stitches, and the foot's a lot longer than fits on my blockers, but I think they still look pretty good. So yeah, I started and finished these really within a week. So this one got finished yesterday actually. I went to the cinema and I took the second sock along. I had, over the weekend, I made sure I knit down the leg and turned the heel before I went to the cinema on Monday. So that just left me with the foot to knit down while I was watching the film. So yeah. Really lovely colourway, lots of bright speckly colours against a more neutral background. My customer saw the first sock in progress last week and she was really happy with how they were knitting up, so I am pretty sure that she will be thrilled when she gets these tomorrow. So they're still slightly damp, so I'm going to lay them back out. They're almost dry. I finished them yesterday evening and washed them straight away and stuck them on the blockers, so they've just been sat around drying today, and hopefully leave them overnight and they will be completely dry and ready to be given tomorrow. I love, there's some like really fun sort of neon green speckles which every time I knit just made me smile when I came across these on the needles. So this was a really fun colourway to knit up. I shall be casting on another pair of socks soon. My mother-in-law's birthday is coming up at the end of the month, and it's been my tradition for the last couple of years to knit her a pair of birthday socks. So I will try and get those on the needles. If not this evening, then they'll definitely be going on tomorrow. On to works in progress, and I'm actually only going to talk to you about 2 projects this week, which is a little bit of a miracle for me. I've usually got a ton of things that have been, you know, that I've been swapping between, that have been capturing my attention, but this weekend I really just concentrated on 2 projects. So I probably put in a row or 2 on some of the other things that I've been working on, but not really enough to justify bringing them out and taking up your time and showing them to you again. So the first one that I'm going to show you is a jumper for me, and this is my Dern sweater, and I'm knitting this from Rowan Valley Tweed in the lovely rusty orange colourway. I started this project for my 12 cast-ons of Christmas last year, and I took it away with me to New Zealand when we went on our trip, and I completed the back of the jumper. It's just a really simple stocking stitch jumper. It's taking quite a long time because it's a 4-ply yarn, or a fingering weight yarn for any of you in the US. And so yeah, a fingering weight jumper for me obviously is a fair undertaking. And it has been sat languishing while I've worked on other projects. So as I say, while I was away, I more or less finished the back, and I have recently picked up and started working on the sleeves. I can't remember, I probably showed this to you a few weeks ago, well, would have been a couple of months ago now, when I did my recap. I think that was back in July. I did my recap on the 12 cast-ons of Christmas projects. So I'm knitting these sleeves 2 at a time, and I have put in quite a lot of work over the last week or so. So these have grown a fair few inches. I didn't put in a marker last time I showed you, which I really should have. I'll try and remember to do that before I pack this mess away. Why does podcasting always leave a great big mess? I don't know. I think it's just me. I am a naturally messy person. So yeah, I have completed all of the increases for the sleeves. I now have to knit maybe an inch or so before I start shaping for the top of the sleeves. So I've set myself a little task of trying to finish these sleeves this week. I think it should be fairly achievable to get these finished by the end of the week. Famous last words. So yeah, that is the Dern jumper. I also needed to make a decision shortly as to whether I'm going to do the round neck or the V-neck version. There are directions for both in the pattern. The pattern is from the Valley Tweed book, which was released when this yarn was released by Rowan. I originally thought I would do the round neck sweater, but now I'm sort of umming and ahhing. I don't know whether to go V-neck or round neck. I have sweaters in my wardrobe that are both, and I wear them both, so I might, you don't really have to make the decision until obviously you've knit quite a way up the front, so that might be something that gets decided at the last minute. Okay, so last work in progress is my jumper that I am knitting for James. Hopefully this will be his Christmas gift. It's been a lot easier working on this jumper this year. I made him a jumper last year as a Christmas gift, but I kept that entirely secret, so he didn't know what I was working on. He didn't know the pattern or the colour or anything like that. So I was only able to work on it while he wasn't here, which made things a little bit tricky. This year I made sure he loved the jumper that I made last year, but this year I involved him in the pattern choice and the yarn choice, so there's no need for me to keep this a secret. He knows exactly what's coming, so it's been a lot easier for me to work on because I can do it while he's here. So the pattern that I'm using is the Beagle Sweater, which is a pattern by Nora Gorn, and I am using another Rowan yarn. This is the Rowan Show. I'm not sponsored by them, I promise, but they are my favourite commercial yarn. And I'm using Rowan Felted Tweed Aran in this lovely blue colour. It's showing up probably a bit brighter than it is in real life. Doesn't that look lovely against the orange wall? Yummy. So this is colourway, I know the colour name is Ultra, and I think it's 745 Ultra. And Felted Tweed is a blend of 50% wool, 25% alpaca, 25% viscose. And I've made loads of progress on this. I'm really happy with the progress. So when I showed you this, I had cast on, and I think I'd worked on it for one evening. So there is a little marker way back down here. So that was what I had done the last time I showed you. And I am now approaching the top of the back. So I have moved away from this lovely rib and texture pattern on to the double moss stitch or double seed stitch panel at the top. So yeah, you can see where my marker is down there. So I knit all of this week. Obviously it's an Aran weight yarn, so it grows fairly quickly, but yeah, I'm really pleased with how it's turning out. It's a bit of a bear to knit, but I do love the texture of a double moss stitch. I knit a double moss stitch in the top of my Angelica sweater, which I made for myself earlier in the year, and it's definitely gotten a bit chillier here the last few days, so it might be nearing time where I can actually wear my Angelica, which is really exciting. But anyway, I'm digressing. So yeah, the Beagle, I'm really pleased with how this is turning out, and hopefully, I'm going to probably jinx myself now, aren't I? Hopefully this is going to be done in plenty of time to be gifted to James for Christmas. This is knit on 4.5mm needles, and I'm just using a set of Knit Pro basics, the wooden ones, which are birch. I don't think there is really anything else to say about that, apart from I am thoroughly enjoying the knitting of that one. Hopefully James will like it when it's finished too. At the moment, that jumper is being kept in this really old project bag. This is one of the first project bags that I ever made. It's got no interfacing or anything like that. It's just a really squishy bag. But as you can see, it's now jam-packed in there. So I think it's time to think about swapping out the project bag for that one. And my Dern sweater is in this bag, another one that I made in this fun oyster catcher print. So yeah, that is it. I'm not going to talk to you anymore about any of the other projects that I've been working on. So I'm going to sign off for now, but hopefully here follows a little crochet section and maybe a little bit of shop news as well. Hi, as you can see, I'm now at the shop and I am just going to do a really quick crochet segment as promised. So here in the shop we have been knitting and crocheting some 6-inch squares recently. One of our customers has a relative who lives up in North Wales, and she told us about a little project that is going on. There's a Facebook group for it. It's called Scarf Idris Gower Scarf. I'll put that below. A group of ladies have got together and they are trying to make a giant scarf for Idris Gower. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Welsh is not my forte. Basically, Idris is a giant in Welsh mythology. He apparently was a medieval king, and there is quite a famous mountain here in Wales named after him. Cadair Idris, which means Idris's chair, I believe. So basically they are trying to put together a number of squares, and they want to reach a total length of 893 meters, which seems like a real challenge. And basically you can make squares any weight, any construction, knit, crochet, any pattern you like, as long as they measure 6 inches, and these are going to be joined to make a giant scarf. And then the scarf, I believe, will be turned into blankets and be gifted to various charities. So we have been making some squares, and I've been crocheting quite a few squares because a crochet granny square 6 inches big does not take very long. So when we have our Wednesday morning crochet group, then I participate just by making a square or two. I can usually get 2, sometimes 3 done in a 2-hour session, depends on how much tea I'm making and how many of the group participants needs any help or input. So I am mid-square at the moment. I'm just using up scraps of yarn. This particular one is a Sirdar Baby Crofter yarn. I finished one square already this morning, so this is the square that I already crocheted up. And over the last week or so I have also used up some scraps of Knit Coal yarn. Knit Coal is a yarn from Adrafil. So I had a little bit of a ball left of those, so I made a couple of squares from that. I also made a square from a bit of a leftover colour wheel, so one of the Sirdar colour wheels. And this one has got a bit of colour wheel and also a bit of a random scrap yarn in the middle. And then I also found some of those little skeins of tapestry yarn in a little box I had at home. I think someone gave me a box of bits and pieces and they were in there. So I just magic knotted them all together and I came up with this square. So those are really my only crochet efforts this week. So not much to report, but it's all for a good cause. We have so far knit and crocheted 170 squares. And I think each blanket to be made from these squares is 144 squares in total. So we have collectively managed a blanket and a bit, and the squares are still coming in. So if I remember, I'll put a link to the Facebook group for this particular project down below. If anyone wants to participate, then they're accepting squares for the next few months. I think they are aiming to have this project finished by the 7th of December. So they are volunteering to sew all the squares together. So you just need to send squares along. And if anyone wants to participate and wants to send their squares here, then that's absolutely fine. We're going to do one more big package. We've already sent off the first lot. And as I say, we're slowly collecting more. So we've sent off the first blanket's worth. And yeah, I'm just gonna keep on collecting until we have either enough for another blanket, or I think we'll probably have the cut-off date mid-November, just to make sure that we can get them up to North Wales before the end of the project. So yeah, that's it for my crocheting efforts this week. Hello again. I guess for you I've never been away. It's kind of creepy, isn't it? As you can see, I am currently in the shop, so I am going to talk to you a little bit about some shop news to finish off the video. So I have got a couple of yarns to talk to you about and a new book, so hopefully it shouldn't take long. And obviously I understand if this is not of interest to you, the rest of the video will be this content, so thank you for joining me. But for anyone who is sticking around, I am going to chat to you first about a new publication that we have in the shop. So this week arrived a new book, Rowan at Home, patterns by Martin Story, and as the title suggests, it's lots of homewares projects, including these gorgeous cushions that are modelled on the front of the book. And then if I flip over, there's a few more sort of projects that they give you little glimpses of in the back, but it's got some really lovely projects in. I love the owl cushion. I really have a hankering to make one. His wings, the pattern on his wings, it's just gorgeous, isn't it? But I already have a cushion at home in progress, so I think it'll be a while before one of those goes on the needles. But there's some sort of simple projects and some more complicated projects in this book, as you would expect. There's a distinct lack of cables, which is quite surprising for Martin Story. I think there's like one cable-y project. Yeah, quite a lot of intarsia and colour work projects. There's a really gorgeous blanket in here. I don't think I would ever have the patience to actually knit it myself, but let me just try and find it. Okay, it's called Bambino, and actually I'll show you that picture because it's a bit better. Look at that, it's just such a cute project with baby knitted into it. Wouldn't that be adorable for a little one? But yeah, I don't think I could ever see myself having the patience or the need really to make one of those, as gorgeous as it is. There is also a lovely paw print blanket in here. Let me just try and find that. So there it is. Check that out. My cat, who features on the videos regularly, is always stealing my blankets, but I bet if I specially knit her a blanket of her own, she'd probably still just steal all of mine and ignore the one that I'd made her. So I think that's probably quite a lot of effort to go to for the cat, don't you? So yeah, some nice projects in that book, and we've already sold a couple of copies, so yeah, that's nice. But I think the owl project's probably the most striking to my mind, although I do love the other cushions in this book as well. So on to new yarns. So I've got one commercial yarn to tell you, and also you may have already spotted behind me, Miranda by Miranda May has recently restocked us with a bunch of her lovely hand-dyed yarns. So I'm going to share a couple of those with you too. But first off, the commercial yarn. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying that this is not my usual kind of style. This is not something I would usually gravitate towards, and so I was quite shocked with myself when I ordered this yarn. But I got suckered into it because it was so soft. But also, obviously, I am shopping for the store, so I have to be mindful not only of the things that I love, also I want to obviously try and keep a good range of yarns in the shop if I can, that will appeal to every budget and every kind of project, and this was certainly something that we didn't have the like of in the shop already. So I am talking about Sirdar Alpine, which is sort of like a fake fur yarn. It is 100% polyester. I was a bit unsure because these sorts of yarns can be fairly difficult to knit with, but what drew me to this one is that all of the fluff is on one side of the yarn, if you can see that. So there's quite a nice core there that I think will make this one a little bit easier to work with, as opposed to something like the Sirdar Snowflake, which is the baby yarn, which has the sort of fluff all around the core of the yarn. I have to confess, I have not yet knit with this myself, so I can't speak to it for sure, but a couple of my customers have knit with it, and they said that yes, it's obviously trickier than a normal yarn, but it's not too bad. So the Alpine comes in 6 different colourways, so here they all are, and I bought in a couple of patterns to go with the Alpine. The one that suckered me in was the teddy bear pattern. So I haven't got a copy of it to hand, but I'm going to show you a finished teddy bear. The pattern includes 2 different types of bears. There's the teddy, which I'm going to show you. There's also a panda bear, which obviously uses the black and white combination. And my customer who's made this first bear is also going to make the panda, so I'm really excited to see that. But take a look. How adorable is he? I've had so many comments from people that say he just doesn't look knitted, and he doesn't. This yarn is just, yeah, very lovely, and he's so soft and squishy. Love him. So yeah, I was contemplating making one of these myself, but as I say, one of my lovely customers has beat me to it, and she doesn't have an immediate use for him, so she has allowed me to keep him for display in the shop, and so he's sat in our window at the moment, but he's so lovely and cuddly. Isn't he gorgeous? So yeah, that's the teddy bear. And also, last time the Sirdar rep came to the shop, he left me a couple of samples, and one of the samples he left was a cowl knit from this yarn. Yeah, again, this is so lovely and soft. So while it's not necessarily my aesthetic, I can appreciate that lots of people would love something like this, particularly coming into the colder months. So it's quite a long cowl. You can wrap it round twice. So yeah, you can imagine that under a winter coat. How cozy. Oh, it's so soft. Cozy and warm. So yeah, it's proving to be quite a popular yarn, which is great. But I think it would definitely be one of those, once I have sold through the original stock that I ordered, I probably won't restock it. I will, not because it's not nice, it's lovely, but I think these sorts of yarns are the sort that I like to kind of bring in, sell through the stock, and then move on to something else that's a little bit different, just to keep those sorts of things moving. I think it's a sort of yarn that once you've knit with it once or twice, you're not necessarily going to come back to it again and again, because there is really only so many things you can make. So yeah, that is the Sirdar Alpine. I am going to take this off before I die of heat exhaustion. Finally, on to Miranda's yarn. So we have stocked Miranda's yarn in the shop for a little while, and I've talked about it before. She is an indie dyer based in Cardiff, and she recently restocked me, as I said earlier, with some of her beautiful yarns. So I've got back in stock some of the old favourite colours that we've had for a while, so I'm not going to chat to you about those, but I'm going to just show you a couple of the newer things that she has brought out. So first off, she has dyed some beautiful semi-solid yarns. So I've got a mini skein set here of those yarns, and you can see we have these colours in larger skeins. I can't make my finger move the way I want it to. So yeah, have larger skeins of these available, but there's 5 lovely colours in this set, and they're just called Autumn Minis. So there's this lovely brown and red. Okay, so I had to stop for a customer there, so I've lost my train of thought a little bit. I think I was talking about these minis from Miranda, the autumn colourways. So there's a lovely slate sort of black grey, there's the blue, the green, the red and the brown. They do all have colourway names, but I can't remember them, and I'm too lazy to get up and have a look, sorry. So yeah, I've got, as I say, a couple of the sets of minis, which would be lovely in shawls or as a stripy pair of socks. I'm tempted to snaffle a set of these myself and make a nice striped pair of socks, but yeah, maybe something I could cast on it for my frivolous Socktober cast on this month. Speaking of which, if you haven't already noticed, I'm trying to participate in Vlogtober. I'll talk about it probably more on my next video, so each week I'm going to cast on a pair of socks just because. And this yarn is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. And then the other new things that Miranda has brought in this time are some lovely sock sets. I've got 2 different types of sets. I have got like a small set and what I'm calling a large set. Miranda doesn't call them these herself, but so she's paired some of her colourways with a contrasting mini, and this one is a 50-gram skein with a 20-gram skein, and then I've got a couple where I've got 100-gram skeins with a 20-gram mini. So yeah, these are such great ideas. Obviously these are slightly cheaper than the bigger set, so that makes them nice and affordable. And I've got some lovely colourways that Miranda has left me this time in these sort of, I'm calling them small sock sets. So I've got this one first, which is Fairy Lights in the Snow. So it's got all of these gorgeous, beautiful colours. Sorry, the light is not playing ball with me today. And then a lovely sort of deep red, not quite burgundy, but in that sort of tone, mini with that one. And then I have the Batman sock set, which is a lovely sort of main colour of greens and black speckles. There's also some lovely yellows and a few specks of oranges, and that's with the nice sort of slate black mini. I've also got some of her number 20 colourway, which is a colourway that we have had before, and I think we've got some bigger skeins up there behind me somewhere. So the Friends TV series inspired these set of colourways. So this is number 20, named after one of the flats that the cast live in, and that's paired with a nice green mini. And then I'll just show you, I've got a couple of different colourways in these larger sock sets, but I'll just show you this one. This is a one-of-a-kind colourway called Beetlejuice, and oh, again, I just love this one so much. I'm so tempted to purchase it myself, but I have so much yarn at home. So this is a lovely black, white with some blue speckles, and then a blue contrasting mini. But yeah, the more I look at this, the more I just want it. Maybe someone will buy it today and save me from myself. I think that is everything that I wanted to talk to you about. So thank you so much for joining me. As I already alluded to, I am participating in Vlogtober, so I'm trying to post a little mini video every day, but that's not obviously replacing these videos. So if you don't have time to keep up with all of those shenanigans, then that's absolutely fine. I will be chatting about all of my works in progress and all the good stuff in these videos anyway. So okay, so I am definitely going to sign off now. I'm waffling, aren't I? Situation normal. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. It's Friday today when I am recording, so we are fast approaching the weekend, which is nice. So yeah, I hope you get to do some of the lovely things that you enjoy doing. And until next time, great big woolly hugs to you all. Bye for now.